Yes, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It's the famous day after the famous night before. And today, look at the caliber of guests I've got on for you on a Monday morning. Chris B and Lubo. And if you add their ages together with mine, we still don't go back as far as the last time Tottenham won a league title, I'm led to believe. Lubo, how are you? Good Christmas?
It was very good, thanks. It was all right. Apart from Spurs, it was good. Pretty good.
I knew the word Spurs would get into that. I knew no one can ever just say, yes, I'm really well, thank you.
No, we had
about Spurs.
a lovely Christmas day.
Good.
And in between games has been pretty good, thanks. So, yeah, pretty good. How about yours?
Yeah, same old. Yeah, it's, wake up, eat loads, go to bed, tidy up, do it all again Boxing Day. So, yeah, absolutely fine. Chris, I gather yours was good as well. Did you eat a lot and drink a lot?
Yeah, likewise. Very relaxed, very quiet, bit too much to eat and drink. Looking forward to the traditional dry January. And I watched Groundhog Day last night, and I wasn't sure if it was the movie or if it was one of the numerous Spurs games for the last 3 months. Couldn't quite put my finger on it.
I'd rather watch Groundhog Day over and over again than watch Spurs every week at the moment. Guys, look, let's start. Look, we could dip into yesterday's game, but I want to talk more around Tottenham Hotspur as a whole. Chris, I'll start with you. All the noises that are coming out from most of the fan base and pundits is that, look, this isn't working and this manager hasn't got a clue. And I mean, like, pundits on TalkSport and Sky are starting to say that Ange doesn't understand football and like it's getting really bad. But all of the noises coming from within the club and the higher and the people that are in the know is that this manager's not going anywhere. Chris, what have you heard? What would it surprise you if Spurs kept him?
I have heard everything similar to what you have, that he's as safe could be. And it says something when you go on to watch Match of the Day 2 last night. And I'm not sure, I don't think it was John Watson, but whoever the pundit was who opened up the introduction to the Tottenham game made a point of saying, my understanding is that Ange remains safe at the club whilst we remain in the cup competitions, which when you've got mainstream media within the BBC reporting something, all the snippets we're seeing via social media and the conversations we've all collectively had offline, it's all the same old noise coming out. And you're scratching your head asking yourself why.
Yeah, I mean, Lubo, I don't know whether it's to be admired that they're going to stick by a manager that's doing this badly, or whether or not we're now at the point where this is the football version of self-harming from Daniel Levy. I know we don't like him, but it is his responsibility to do what's best for this club. Is he doing what's best for the club at this stage by keeping Ange Postecoglou?
If I marry the logic with what I've been told, he knows he's under pressure. He knew he was under pressure over a year ago because he has initiated this managerial merry-go-round for the last 24 years, or it was 23 at the time. So he is invested in Ange in terms of listening to him, in terms of backing him on the main players that he wanted. He shelled out 47.5 for Johnson. Ange had to have Johnson. He shelled out 57 million on Solanke. Ange had to have Solanke. So I don't think the kids were what Ange's sign-offs, but those two I know definitely were. He signed off on Maddison, Van der Ven, Dragusin, Veliz. That Veliz was probably Lange, and he is giving him a chance. And I think from what I gather, the mentality is that we're in 3 cup competitions at the moment.
Yeah,
he's probably written off the Champions League now. I'm sure he's probably written off 5th place. I would have thought. Which at the moment, with the coefficient, would get an English team into the Champions League for next year. I think we're about 6 or 7 points off that, so that isn't insurmountable. But also we're still in 3 cup competitions, and if you look at the you look at the way this injuries have affected the club, I just think it's not about, you look at the stats, and the stats don't show that much difference between the centre backs being in, centre backs being out. But I do think there is the way we play is geared around Van der Ven and his recoveries, and I think we're getting caught out. We're losing game. We're not playing well. The team's got no confidence. Injuries have affected the team. Like yesterday's performance was no surprise to me. They lack confidence. There are no leaders in the team. The results have been really poor. So to expect us to come out and gung ho and play like we did against Villa, just wasn't gonna happen. So I think, just coming back to your original question, Sav, I think they're giving him a chance. I think they don't want to be accused of hiring and firing, pulling the trigger too quickly again. So they're banking it on. Levy's banking Champions League on the Europa League now, and I think that's the key. I don't think the League Cup and FA Cup, in terms of prize money. Mourinho went because Levy was more interested in a top four £40 million Champions League finish than a £1 million League Cup winning bonus. So I think for me it's with Ange, as long as he's in the Europa League, I think he'll keep him.
Yeah, look, I completely get it. I mean, look, just to back on from what you've said there, let's actually have a look at what those stats are for with and without Van der Ven, listen, when people talk about the injuries here, and let's be fair, that's the main one. We've always been, for the last 2 years, pretty much the same, with or without Bentancur, with or without Basuma, with or without, right? That's all been pretty much similar. It's the centre-backs that people are talking about mainly when they talk about the injuries. And this is listen, big up to AJ, whoever, at the AJ98, someone sent me this. I said the loss record with Kuti and VDV playing for the last 40 games is 36%, and without them is 37. And apparently that equals to one more draw with them than without them. Pardons for the swearing in that message, but so this excuse that the fans are making with injuries is a myth. Look, Ian, let's be brutally honest. Whether we like his style of play or not, for me, it's never going to cause stability. It's never going to be something where we go, well, when everyone's fit, we're stable, we look solid. It's always going to cause a lot of defensive issues for us and teams running through us. But we had this last year, didn't we, chaps, where Van der Ven and Romero were out. This exact same time last year, Van der Ven and Romero were out. And we all said, when Van der Ven, Romero and Maddison come back, we're going to go on a run. They came back and we had a terrible second half of the season with everyone fit. So is this blind hope from the board and from fans and from Ange now that it will magically get better? Or do people truly believe it will change?
Well, if you split last season into two, matches 20 to 29, those first 10 games, we got 20 points.
If you look at
but for the first 10 games, Sav, we got 20 points.
Yeah.
And then we got 10 off the last 9.
Yeah.
So when they came back after Christmas, there was a definite upturn. And then unfortunately it drifted away. But I do think I read a stat that from Chelsea onwards, the back four only played together for 9 out of the last 28 games. So injuries
But what does that tell you then? So if we're having year on year where none of these players are fit, surely, guys, this tells you that we can't be a team that says, oh, well, when our first 11 is fit, because one, it's 2024. No one has a first 11 fit all season. Like, you look at Liverpool. Liverpool have had loads of injuries this year. Newcastle have. Man United have. Brighton have. Wolves yesterday had 7 or 8 first-team players missing throughout the game. Surely we're at the stage where this is gross incompetency in terms of building a squad then, rather than just relying on a back 4 and 11, isn't it?
I think it's simple. I was having a chat. I'm sorry, Chris.
That's right.
Let me just say this one thing. I was having a chat with a sports therapist just before kickoff yesterday, and she was saying that the training, the intensity, the pressing, the amount of pressing, she said it's not normal for a human body. She said, and he is killing people. He's killing players. It's, you know, a human body shouldn't be put through this amount. You know, even, you know, top athletes like Usain Bolt with sprinting has a specific program and plan in place so that he doesn't finish up with hamstrings. Because people like him, people of that height, that build, that speed, like Van der Ven, you know, are susceptible, very susceptible to hamstrings, and Ange's destroying them. You know, he doesn't train them. He just tells the coaches, I'm told, get on with the training. This is what I want, and they do it, and they are killing the players. It's madness.
I've heard the exact same thing, Ian, from sports scientists. What he's asking your fullbacks to do, 15 sprints in a game of 60 yards. The slow twitch and fast twitch muscles aren't capable of withstanding that. And it's almost like loading a gun and then firing the cartridge. The body can't sustain that. And if you look at his history previously at Celtic, he went through a period with Celtic where all of his forwards were suffering from hamstring injuries. I posted it in our chat yesterday, Savva. So this isn't new to him. It's something it's just another cycle that's repeating himself. And the fact that he, again, doesn't learn and he persists tells you that this guy's not in tune. There you go. Is not in tune with sports science and what gets the best out of your players. And when we talk about the injury problem, it's starting to become a bit of an excuse from my perspective. As you think of all those injured, who are the only 3 out of that injury list who actually are first team starters? And it's Vicario in goal, it's Romero, and it's Van der Ven. So there's only potentially 3 players there on that list that actually come into our strongest possible starting 11. You look at the rest.
Even with Romero and Van der Ven, though, we weren't doing well.
We were better with Ben Davis and Emerson Rule playing centre back last season. Right. Yeah.
So this is where I feel slightly skewed with it. And as I said, I looked at the Wolves lineup yesterday, and I don't know if any of you guys use this. I use Flash Score as an app for all of my.
Gives you the player ratings in the 90 minutes.
It gives you the player ratings, but before the game, Chris, it gives you everything. It gives you where's the game going to be live, where's the venue, who will and who won't play, and who's definitely injured. And I looked at Wolves, and Wolves was boom, 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 boom. And I'm thinking, okay, this is Wolves, bottom 4. They've got 6 first-team injuries. Then they lose their best player, who I thought was exceptional in the first half, Cunha. He was everywhere. Yeah. Then they lose him and Bellegarde. Right, then they lose Dawson as well. And I'm thinking to myself, hang on, Spurs are 2-1 up, right, at home to a bottom 4 team, right, who have lost so many games this year. They've lost all their best players. The excuse can't always be, well, we've got injuries, because we didn't. Somebody made a great point yesterday on my show. I'm not sure who it was. I had so many people on throughout the day. The injuries at the back don't suddenly mean that we can't pass a football. Like all the sloppy passing in midfield and the bad build-up play, that's not to do with Van der Ven and Romero being injured. And that's not to do with Richarlison, Odebert and Mikey Moore not playing, because neither of those 3 players are actual first-team footballers. So how much is this injury excuse? Is it pride for Spurs fans to say, oh, we've got injuries, and how much of it is actually affecting how we play football?
I think I think Martin O'Neill hit the nail on the head on one of his recent interviews, and he was like, football's a game, we accept there's going to be injuries, it's all about the strength of your squad. And he said it's time Ange got over this. He can't keep on calling out the injuries as a defence to what's happening on the pitch. And you've got a lot of seasoned pros and a lot of people who have achieved things in the game saying it for as it is, and I just think that's a bit of a weak excuse, if I'm being honest.
I think where the injuries do have an effect is that it gives him less options to rotate.
But then when there are
players are being flogged, Chris. They are being flogged at the moment.
Yeah, but then you say that, Ian, like poor old Alfie Dorrington a natural centre back sitting on the bench. It's destroying that bloke's confidence that you've potentially talking about playing Basuma at centre half. That's a bloke who's got 2 brain cells on a good day. His passing is erratic. He is a liability. Would you trust that man anywhere in front of 36-year-old Fraser Forster, who himself is a bit bizarre?
I have a question.
That was a crazy idea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To play Basuma at centre back.
100%.
Can you imagine?
Can I ask a question? Sorry, this is where I have issues with this conversation, right? Not with you two, just in general. I have issues with the whole he hasn't got the players to rotate. I think this is a massive lie, right? And I'm going to prove it. First of all, when everyone was fit, I really didn't ever see him rotating Van der Ven and Romero, right? We're all sitting there when they're fit going, well, when is Dragusin going to get a game, right? So even when the players are fit, he doesn't rotate them. He just runs them into the ground. Now, let's look at the rest of the back four, because that's just Van der Ven and Romero, right? Mm-hmm. He's had options to rest them. He's had games where you could say, look, Van der Ven, look, Dragusin's going to play today, or Romero. You had the Chelsea game where you say, right, Radu Dragusin's the only 100% fit centre-back at the club. I know we'll drop Radu Dragusin and we'll put both our cropped centre-backs in at the same time. So that's on him. Yeah. But I want to look at the fullbacks, guys, right? Porro and Udogie, right? People go, oh, they've been running to the ground. They're knackered. I hate to break it to everybody. All season, we've had Jed Spence available to deputise for Porro, and he's not done it. He's only started bringing in Spence the last few weeks when we've had defensive injuries. He's had him all year to rotate and hasn't, right? Left back, he's had Serge Reguilon all year that he could have said, right, Udogie, you're not 100% fit today, you're going to play, and he hasn't. So when we're saying it leaves him without players to rotate, I'm sorry, but he wasn't rotating anyway when they were fit, and he's had the players there. He's always had players to rotate in midfield. He's always had players to rotate in the forward areas. What we mean is he doesn't want to rotate.
Well, I actually think, Sav, that Solanke will be the next one to get injured. He'll be the next one to get injured.
100% his hamstrings go at any point. He's running himself into the ground.
He is, isn't he? At last, Richarlison, it looks like he's going to be available for Newcastle. I think we have, and I haven't got anything to back up except a few videos that I saw for him playing last season, because he's hardly played at all. I think not having players like Odegaard, when you got Johnson, who, apart from sticking the ball in the goal the odd game, does absolutely nothing outside of that during the 90 minutes. It's sad watching his decline. I think he's being played too wide. He's being played too wide because you completely nullify what he's good at by playing him out wide. And he will be much better, much closer to Solanke, but he doesn't play that system where he has his fullbacks overlapping. And you can't have Son coming in, because then you've got Son, Maddison and Udogie literally within 10 yards of each other, which is crazy. So, I would have liked to have seen Mikey Moore to see how his career is going to progress. I thought he looked terrific in that 15-minute cameo. Was it Alkmaar he played against?
Yeah.
Yes.
Against Palace, they were all shocking, and I felt sorry for him because he looked out of his depth in that game. He just wasn't in it, but then he had no help from anybody else. The rest of all the other senior players were garbage that day. And Richarlison gives you something else. And I know there are a lot of people that don't like Richarlison. I was at Anfield last year. We got murdered for 60 minutes, 65 minutes. Richarlison came on and the whole game changed. We pulled 2 back. We could have scored another 2 as well. It would have been a robbery if we'd have nicked a point. But Richarlison changed the whole game, and he has a shithousery that Solanke doesn't have. He puts himself about. Centre backs know that they could, he could give him a dig at any time, and he gives us something a little bit different than Solanke does. He's not a hold-up player like Solanke, but we need to have a mix and match sometimes. You can't just have one way of playing.
There's a bloke called Lancashire sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
And in any of these games where we're not winning or we need a goal, Lancashire never, ever comes on. Ever. And you look down the road, guys, right? If you look down the road, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, Arsenal, Arsenal
Lewis
have had
Skelly that
injuries.
made his debut the other night at left back, exceptional, absolutely brilliant.
Lewis Skelly's played the last 3 or 4 games for Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's an 18-year-old fullback. Nwaneri's been playing a lot.
Yeah.
There's no excuse as to why he again. I don't understand it, Chris.
Don't you find it
doing.
embarrassing that for the last 2 seasons, Savvy, and we've sent Reguilon to Man United, Brentford. We've done everything possible to get rid of him. He has no long-term future at the club. His contract expires. He wants away. We want away. Yet so is such poor squad planning that he is our only viable backup with a doggy now out injured. We are just so...
No, Spence will be there next week.
On the left, right, okay.
Yeah, but even then,
we're just so paper thin, aren't we?
Is Spence... I know he does
He's
okay
not.
there.
He's a right back, isn't he?
He's a right back, correct.
And then I've never been so proud or happy to have finished watching a Tottenham game with Timo Werner and Reguilon on our left side. That's what dreams are made of.
You know what I didn't understand? Sorry, sir. Just on staying on that left back thing, we had Mason King, I think, in the squad the other week.
Yeah.
And we were 3 or 4 goals up at the time. Was it Southampton? And he didn't bring him on.
Yeah, we were 5 up at Southampton. He's bringing on senior players.
So give the kid a chance. You know, he's got a bright future. I'm hearing. I saw him a few times last season playing for the under. I think we're under 18s. In the Youth Cup, and he looked good. Give these kids, like Lewis Skelly is getting a run out. I don't understand why all these clubs have these kids and they blood them, and we don't. The only reason why Ange has is because of the injuries. Graham Bergvale wouldn't have got anywhere near the team.
Agreed, Ian. This is the thing for me. You've got half the fan base that want to make the excuse, oh, it's a youth project, oh, it's a young team. But then when we get down to bare bones and you're like, right, let's see the kids. The only kid we've seen is Archie Gray. And let's be fair, the only reason we're seeing Archie Gray is because we forked out a hefty sum of money for him. This is... I think
that's unfair because he has shown so that he's 18 to come in and play where he's played.
I'm not saying he hasn't, Ian, but the thing is, what I'm saying is, if Archie Gray had come through our youth team as an 18-year-old footballer, Ange wouldn't be playing, and we've seen that with Dorrington, with Lancashire. And do you remember in the summer, guys, every pre-season friendly, our fans were wetting their pants at, oh my God, look how great Donley's played, look how great. What's his name in central midfield? Who's gone out on loan?
Divine.
No, not Divine. The other one I'm thinking of as well.
Donley.
Tyrese Hall.
Donley, Hall, Lancashire, Divine. We're talking about all the Abbott. We're talking about all these players. When push comes to shove and the season starts, you're going, right, who's survived? Lancashire. Right, okay, Lancashire's here. Brilliant. Okay, right. Spurs are not winning games of football. Lancashire as a centre forward. Remember back in the days, guys, I'm going to chuck some names that you two old gits will remember because I remember them, right? Remember the old days when you go, oh, Jamie Slabber's on the bench or
Dave McEwen.
But we bought that. But I mean, from the youth team, you had people like Lee Barnard, Jamie Slabber, Neil Fenn.
David.
Right. These players, it was, right, we've got injuries. You're on the bench. You're a kid. Go on, we're losing. 15 minutes to go. Go and see what you can do. Ange, with 10, 15 minutes to go, won't even give Will Lancashire 15 minutes to say, do you know what? Let's go. We'll play 4-3-3. Do you know what? Sod that. Let's get some fullbacks off. Let's go 3 at the back. Let's get 2 centre forwards on. You know what? Let's go a little bit more direct. Lancashire must be thinking, what am I doing? I'm not on loan. I'm not getting any game time. I'm stagnating.
And that's been historical with Spurs, though. You look over the years, that Dennis Sirkin, who used to play left-back for us in the youth team, never got an opportunity. I've watched him a few times for Sunderland, and in our current plight, I'd take him back every day of the week. Or Madueke at Chelsea. We have all these players. We've supposedly invested in these world-class facilities at Tottenham Way, but we don't have a platform into the first team. And it doesn't help when you've got a manager who would use his existing cohort of players and just try and repurpose them into a different position. Like the amount of games this season, I don't want to pick him out, but Basuma's just had one of those moments. But he continues to get selected week in, week out. And that's not how it should be.
Well, for me, you play Gray there without a doubt.
100%.
Get Basuma out, stick him in, and say, right, you got the next 10, 12 games. Now go and show us what you can do.
And the most Mickey Mouse comment I've seen from the woke, pathetic Spurs fan base over many a week is a tweet the other day saying our season died the moment the Wilson Odebear was injured. He's played 72 minutes of professional football for Tottenham, and we've got people in our fan base thinking he is the reason why our fit season has ground to a halt.
I think the statement was, it can't be understated how much we're missing him.
Yeah, and you're like, shake your head, put your head in a bucket of cold water, smell the coffee, and wake up.
He's played 72 minutes more than us three for Spurs. You know what I mean?
This is the problem we have. Such statements like that, you think, give your head a wobble.
I just want to bring, just really quickly. First and foremost, come on, guys. We're currently talking about Richarlison. We've got Richarlison strike rates in the chat. We've got 475 people, 93 likes, which is what? Just basically 1 in 5. Come on, we should be getting Harry Kane strike rates here of 3 and 4. Come on, let's get some more likes in there. First of all, a massive thank you to everyone who helped me get over 15,000 yesterday. We've flown past that in 24 hours. It's been a very crazy 24 hours. Phil P has said, if Reggie is back, big up Phil P, by the way, much love, dude. Hope you and the family had a great Christmas. If Reggie is back, should I take my boots too? And do you know what, Phil? For as much as we laugh, I actually thought that Reggie looked more comfortable at left back yesterday when he played than Udogie has all season there, because Reguilon is a left back. Like, forget his quality, guys. He is a left back. And it showed to me that he was actually in his defensive position, not trying to invert ridiculously. And it actually looked for a minute like, hang on, have we got a left back that plays left back? Thoughts on, quickly before we move on, thoughts on Serge Reguilon? Should he start this next game? What's going on?
Yes, he should. Spence will play. He will put Spence at left back because you just know the way that Ange thinks and selects. Andy Turner, that's right.
Rory Allen, yeah.
That was the era with Barmby and Kasky, wasn't it?
It was.
Early 90s. I thought Reguilon obviously looked rusty at times. There are a few loose balls that he gave. But yes, he did. He did start. I'll come back on that Donley one in a second.
Yeah, I thought you would. As soon as I saw that, I thought, Ian loves Donley. Oh, no.
The last few games. Yeah.
We'll come back to. I'll tell you what. Do it now, Ian. Do it now. We'll go back to Reggie in a minute. Go on. Do Donley now. Go on.
Okay. They played Donley out of position. As soon as they started, they found themselves in the bottom 4. As soon as they started playing Donley in the 10 behind Perkins and Agai, and Orient is my second team, always has been. I went there before. My uncle used to go Saturdays. My dad worked. He took me down the O's before I went to Spurs. So I've always had a keen interest in Orient. And they have gone, since Donley came at number 10, they've won 7 games, 6 clean sheets, and the other game was a 0-0 draw. So full marks, and Donley started scoring. The manager has come out and said he's now playing. He's now got to grips with men's football. It took him time. You know, it's a big jump from under 21s to League One. And he's now doing brilliantly. He's scoring goals. He's creating. So full marks to him and Josh Keeley as well, who's even scored a goal and had an assist. So
didn't Josh Keeley just break the record? Hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's made the record,
right,
for the number.
in a row.
Yeah. Clean sheet, which is terrific. So good.
But again, if this was a youth project, guys, again, if Spurs was truly a youth project and we were building and this was a process, Josh Keeley would be in goal for Spurs rather than Fraser Forster. That's if it was a youth project.
And you also got Luca Gunter that is so highly rated there as well. So, you know, but again, they play a 37-year-old, and full marks. Let's get over and
I've got Ange win ratios going on in the likes at the moment. Yeah, it's really about 1.26. Yeah.
So just to echo Ian's thoughts, one of my close friends is a season ticket at Leyton Orient, and he's been ranting and raving in the last 5 games about Donley. He's scored 2 in his last 3. They said when they put him into that 10 position, his passing is an absolute pleasure. And they said, yeah, he is developing into a man, and he's starting to become a different class to a lot of players in that League One arena.
That's why when I was asked in July this year, how do you feel about this coming season? And I said I will be far more excited in 12 months' time with the kids starting to come through. Because
do you remember when Ange played Donley at left back on our Australian tour? That was just one of those unexplainable decisions, wasn't it? What are we doing?
Well, that's
the problem
why.
is, right?
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there every night, right, minding my business, and I'll get a WhatsApp from Ian Lubo, and it'll be like, look at this young player, look what he's done. And it's not that I disagree with you, Ian, and it's not that we shouldn't be excited about them, but I don't get excited about them because right now with this manager, I can't see him saying, let's use Donley, for example. I can't see him saying, oh, Donley's had a really good year out on loan at Leyton Orient. You know what? I'm going to bring him back and I'm going to integrate him. I genuinely don't think he knows how to, Ian, because if he did, for me, you're not re-signing Timo Werner. You're keeping the likes of Donley. Like the Spurs fans would rather see Donley come on for 20 minutes at the end of games than Timo Werner on 165 grand a week.
Yeah.
Which one's the future of potentially the future of the club moving forward? It's not the journeyman.
But Chris, when we get to the summer and this clown has gone, you've got a new manager coming in who hopefully is someone like an Iriola who has got a record for bringing kids through it. You know, because for me, with this squad with this batch of youngsters, Pochettino would have been absolutely
100%. Yeah, most definitely.
To develop them and bring them through. You know, I can't remember a time when we have so many good kids.
And what we need to do and what's important is alongside those good kids, we need to bring in some proven quality and experience to guide them, to mentor them, to chaperone them and to help in their development. As at the moment, you can't put kids in alongside kids. If you played a central midfielder, Bergvall and Archie Gray, who's the one who's going to help the other through the game and be talking to them? You think about when we had Alderweireld and Vertonghen at the back and we brought in, who's the guy from Ajax? Davinson Sanchez. Davinson Sanchez initially, when we played the 5 at the back and he was alongside them, looked reasonable. And we thought, he looks promising. But when he had to think for himself without that goal to see him through the game, he was found to be exposed. And we've just got to learn from lessons in the past.
Look, funny, isn't it? Sanchez, one good year, then he went down. Dyer, 15, 16 in midfield with Dembele, one good year, then his form just dipped.
Yeah,
we need to get players who are, you know, consistent year after year after year.
We need sensible signings, and we've both been there and blessed. We all have to remember when we had Wanyama and Dembele in midfield, and you think we've gone from having a really solid centre midfield to at the moment we're as spread open as a prostitute in Amsterdam. We are that wide at times, and people can just penetrate our midfield with ease.
Never been to Amsterdam, so I don't understand the analogy, Chris. I don't understand
I'll share it with you offline one day. But at the weekend, there was such huge gaps in the middle of the park. Where is your defence? Even we took the mickey, but we loved him. Stefan Freund used to sit deep. All he would do was kick the opposition and lump the ball forward. We haven't got that man. We need men's men in midfield to do the donkey work and to take the fight, take the battle in the fight.
Chris, this is the thing for me. When I look at so many other teams that are, I hate using this term, like when I say lesser teams, clubs that aren't as big as Spurs, let's go with that. But you look at the players they bring in, they give everything. Like when I watch Fulham play, somebody who I said in the summer I would want, and I got absolutely laughed at for suggesting this player, Sander Berg. Right?
Oh, yeah.
When Fulham, you watch Fulham play, you know week in, week out, we know what Sander Berg's limitations are. We know what his skill set is, but you're going to get a 7 or 8 every week out of 10 from Sander Berg because you know what? He does his job. And you know what? Like you mentioned there, a Stefan Freund was never a great footballer, But you put Stefan Freund in centre midfield. Tim Sherwood was never the greatest footballer, but you knew what you were getting from Tim Sherwood in central midfield. Now we seem to have a lot of midfielders that, first and foremost, we've got a lot of midfielders that are runners in terms of Sarr and Basuma, but we're asking them to be passers. Both of them are not natural, get the ball down, let's pass it along the ground. And as I said, I said last night, one of the coaches it was actually, Chris, you know Graham?
Graham, yeah.
Right. So Graham was one of the country's top coaches, right? And managed the academy at Charlton and stuff. And
Didn't
Graham,
do a
whenever
good job with you, did he, Savva?
he gave me a job. Yeah, lucky guy. Right. He always used to say to the kids when he was coaching and stuff was smooth it. And what he always meant by that was make sure your pass is definite. Like make sure that there's the right weight on the pass. Make sure that it reaches its target. Don't make it a hospital ball. So the person receiving the ball, it might get clattered. When you watch all of our players pass, and especially our midfielders, there's no smoothing it going on. It's all very dainty. Like you watch Sarr pass a football. It's very dainty, like little taps. And you're like, oh no, just pass the ball to him. Make sure it reaches its target. And that's why I don't listen. I'm not the biggest fan of Basuma and Sarr, but I also feel sorry for them that this is not what they are not these type of footballers. And even they should be destroyers. They should be runners with the ball, not get the ball down, passing it. I just think it's all a mess.
And that's where if you had somebody like we were blessed to have seen in the past, Michael Carrick in midfield, who had that array of passes in his box to a degree. Scotty Parker did a good job for us. And then we didn't see him that often, but when we did, Pedro Mendes, the Portuguese midfielder, could pick a ball out like no one's business. At the moment, we don't have any ball players in midfield. Potentially Bergvall might have that in his locker, but we haven't seen enough of him to see. But we also have very static wingers, so we haven't got that person who picks the ball out. Tom Huddleston was a great example. Used to pick the ball up like an NFL quarterback and distribute it up the pitch as quickly as he could. But we got very ordinary, very static wingers who actually haven't got the ability to beat their man, haven't got the ability to go wide. And that's what we need moving forward. We need that discipline in midfield. We need that player who's going to shore us up holders. But as you said it earlier, Ian, we haven't got any men in that team. We haven't got any natural leaders. When it comes to a fight, we're a pushover. We've got a captain who doesn't captain. He's a captain in name only.
Chris, didn't he say he didn't want that? Chris, he has come out himself and said that he didn't want to buy leaders. He wanted to develop them.
Yeah, but
so
most recently, in the last few weeks, I'm sure he's changed his approach and said we need to buy proven players for the now. So when about 4-0, I lost interest yesterday of Liverpool West Ham, as it was only one way. Turned over and watched a little bit of the Leeds game, and Manor Solomon was playing.
He looked better than Son, doesn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, Manor Solomon on the left-hand side. He's got a low centre of gravity. He's got pace, and he knows how to cross the ball. And I've got to say, I'd rather Solomon in the side at the moment than Son, because he's just offering nothing. A great player for Tottenham. We can't forget what he's done over the last 10 years, but Mother Age catches up with all of us, and the show has to stop at some point.
I think
you still look like a peak physical teenager. You do, Chris. I don't believe that Mother Age has caught up with you. Look at you.
It's
you
a good
specimen
pharmacist.
Of a man.
Yeah.
I think where he plays doesn't help. How the team is playing also doesn't help some. But it is sad watching a decline of a player. And he's been superb for us. And you can just see, there was against, I'm trying to think, it wasn't, who did we play? Liverpool. He tried to beat Trent cutting in, and Trent just shrugged him off, took the ball away like it was easy. And I just felt a bit sad for him, because it was men against boys. It was, and this isn't the Sonny that I remember. He's been terrific for years. I like to remember the Son at the Etihad when we beat them in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, and those 2 goals that he scored in the first 10 minutes. And he just roasted them.
Yeah. He's 33 next year. But then I tried to do a comparison yesterday. Salah's 6 months older than Son. But if you watched him yesterday, he was unplayable. It was absolutely 8 consecutive seasons. He scored more than 20 league goals every year. And one's coming to the end of his career. The other thing looks as if he could continue at that level for another 2 or 3 seasons. But we are very good. We are very good at remembering the past, becoming very romantic towards our past players and current ones. And we are not very good at cutting the umbilical cord and moving on. And that's where we need to be. We need to be ruthless and do what's necessary for the club.
Also, Chris, Salah's in a well-oiled machine, and Son's in a complete shambles, isn't he?
Yeah.
True, but Salah is 10 times the footballer that Son is. Not like as a goal scorer, Son was immense. For me, Salah is just 10 times the player, which I think sometimes gets lost.
And we've said it before, but the day that Harry Kane left the football club was the day that Son had to reevaluate things, because Kane's dropped so deep. He had that telepathic relationship with him, and he contributed so many goals for Son. It was being in the right place at the right time.
Harry Kane has got to be worldwide the most underrated genius.
Yeah, 100%.
We have seen for God knows how many years.
Completely agree with every word in.
Absolutely brilliant. People didn't realise it. People just took it for granted. Kane can get us out, but no one actually realised.
I would rather have in my team a Harry Kane than a Haaland, because I think they're both goal scorers, but I think that Kane's all-round play is just on another level.
I would, in hindsight, at the age that Kane is now, yes, but at the same age Kane was when Haaland is now, Haaland pisses all over Harry Kane. That's the difference. You've got to remember that Kane didn't always do this. Kane, when he first came into the team, was just a goal scorer. It was only in the latter years when he started dropping back and being that deep line playmaker. But I don't want to get into a Haaland-Kane debate. It's pointless. They're great strikers. I would have either of them in my team right now over Solanke. Look, I want to do a couple of super chats, then I'm going to show you guys a few things. First and foremost, I want to test everyone's football knowledge. Do you know what I think we miss in midfield? I think we miss a player like the Barrow head coach. Who's the head coach of Barrow? Used to play for Tottenham Hotspur in midfield. Anyone in the chat? Anyone? No Googling? Anyone in the chat?
Or anybody like
that? Stephen Clements. Stephen Clements is the... God, do you remember those days? Stephen Clements. I feel like we're back at those days, if I'm brutally honest.
I used to have Ray Clements' wife.
Oh, yeah?
And family sat right in front of me in the West Stand. Used to be talking to them every match, and they would come down, to when Ray was playing, and then latterly when Stephen Clements was in the squad, and they supported him all the time, and he gave 100%. He wasn't quite the finished item, was he, Stephen Clements? But you never got less than 100% out of him.
No,
so I was away at Stoke one Sunday evening, and I was sat there, and I was absolutely losing my mind with Tom Carroll, and every other word was some choice feedback to Tom Carroll. After 16 minutes, the bloke sat next to me, put his hand on my knee, and said, "Do you mind laying off Tom a little bit? His mum's getting a little bit upset."
Well, listen, on that note, let me get some super chats. First of all, Jordan, big up, very, very, very generous of you. Thank you very much. I said, hi, guys. What's the worst that could happen if Dorrington was given a game? If playing Dorrington means we ain't playing players half fit, I'm all for it. Yeah. Jordan, I completely agree. And the thing for me is football always used to be like this. Teams, when I was growing up down the years, you'd go, you'd obviously there wasn't all this media stuff, but you'd look on the Saturday at 3 o'clock at the team sheet and you'd go, I'm making it up, who's Jackson at right back? You go, oh, that's some 18-year-old kid. Oh, go on, son. Get in. That was what it used to be. Now it's like, oh, well, you can't play him. You can't play. Well, don't have them. Don't have an academy. Don't have a youth team squad if when you have injuries, you don't want to play your kids. So listen, completely agree with you, Jordan. Thank you so much for that. Vineet has come in and said, happy holidays, guys. Happy holidays to you and your family as well. Saying, we're seeing Ange's face at the end. It seemed like a guy who knew that his time was coming to an end. Well, we keep saying that, Vineet. We keep saying he looks like a dead man walking in press conferences, etc. But all the noises are he's not going anywhere. And this would be the one time I would fully back a Daniel Levy decision. And Daniel Levy's even letting me down when I want him to sack someone. So big up to you. Thanks, Vinny. This comment, I just thought I love these types of comments, guys. I love these. Nowhere did I say that sacking Ange would make us an elite team or a club. I love these comments that just go from the sublime to the ridiculous. I've never said that. What I've said is I want Spurs to get better moving forward. And for me, a better manager, a better coach can start that process of putting a plan in place. This manager, for me, isn't the one to do it. I think people are getting really, really stupid. I'll say it as it is, where, like yesterday, guys, I put a video out on TikTok about I don't want Ange. And I got people coming back going, oh, you Levy lovers. And I'm like, whoa, how have we gone to, because I don't like Ange, I'm a Levy lover and want him to stay? Like, it's madness how, sorry, Mr. Rubin, how dumb you are. I'll say it to your face as well if I see you. And moving on to my next point, we come off the back of this. Guys, come back Christian Gross, all is forgiven. Now, do you know what, guys? For years, this has been a laugh, hasn't it? For the last 10, 15 years, everyone's gone, oh, Christian Gross. God, remember those days. Oh, God, Christian Gross. Well, we don't have to remember Christian Gross, guys, because we're bloody there. We're bloody there. This guy has managed to dip below Christian Gross point averages. Guys, if this doesn't tell you how bad we are, and no one is going to tell me, guys, no one, none of you two, or anyone in the chat is going to tell me that this squad he's got is worse than the crap Christian Gross had. This is now at the height of embarrassment, isn't it, lads?
Yeah, and I think that any other coach, in fact, any of us three talking today, could get far more out of this squad than he currently is. I think his old school approach and lack of man management starting to bite him on the arse.
Did Gross have Sol Campbell and Jurgen Klinsmann?
Now, Gross had, if I remember rightly, Gross had Ginola. God, now you're testing the memory. But I remember it being a diabolical squad. We were awful. But the fact that we're even looking at 1.2 anything, Ian,
I know,
right, is utter madness. And the thing that makes me laugh about this is all the people that were saying in the summer we're going to finish third and Ange wins things and Ange is going to. He's actually made us one of the worst Premier League Spurs sides we've seen.
Well, the first thing I said when I came on Stell's show last night was we're now exactly halfway through the season and we are on schedule for 48 points and we have trips in the second half of the season to Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, Chelsea. I mean, how many points does anybody expect us to get from those? Brentford, who are a good home team.
Yeah.
And I just think that when people listen to us talking about Ange going, I think they've got to consider two things that are going to be major pluses for our team the sooner we get rid of Postecoglou, the better. Firstly, you bring in a manager who will set the team up correctly. And secondly, you'll have a manager who puts training sessions together that are not going to kill the players, not going to ultimately injure them. With less injuries, you get a more settled team, and with more settled teams, you get better results. And there's nothing more to add, really. It's what he's doing. He's killing the team. He's incapable of changing. Can you imagine being a boss in any business? And this is at least a £500 million business.
Yeah.
So it's not small. It's not a small business that ENIC have built up now. And you have got you're putting a man in a massively important position. And I remember I'm in fabric and I sell to garment manufacturers. And I remember saying to a customer of mine, what do you do when you have a problem? And he said to me, I try and find three different solutions. Postecoglou doesn't even look for one solution. Not one solution. So how on earth, if things are going badly, you need to have a look at a situation and say, right, how am I going to solve this problem? Whatever it is, whether you're getting players, whether there's an overload on one side of the pitch during a game, or whether you're looking at the medical room and there are far too many players in. You're looking at the inconsistency of team selection. You're looking at the changes in team selection, and you are doing nothing to change any of those problems that are going on a weekly basis at the moment. Then how can that person be fit for purpose?
I think there's a saying about you can't teach an old dog new tricks, isn't there?
Well, I disagree, because people like Gasperini are doing okay at Atalanta. I'm sure there must be for someone to go and win a Europa League last year.
He showed, but he always comes out with that throwaway comment. If you think I'm going to change, you're mistaken. And that's a big red flag and a warning to me that this guy is not what we need, and we can't allow him to continue, because it's either his way or no way at all. And he's not going to tweak the tactics. He's not going to try different formations. He's not going to blood the youngsters. We're just wasting time with this guy.
I sat behind the goal at Brighton last season. And in that first half, I think Vic made 3 great saves. They hit the post twice, and they scored 2. We could, if everything had gone right for Brighton, we could have been 7-0 down at half time. And he did nothing.
No.
You could see him on the touchline, hands in his coat, absolutely doing nothing. And Emerson and Davis were getting absolutely ripped to pieces by the Brighton front line. And we're talking Brighton. We're not talking Salah, Diaz, Nuno, whoever. You're talking about Brighton, and they're a decent side. No disrespect to Brighton, but you wouldn't put their front line, in the top 4 or 5 forward lines in the country. No. And we were getting ripped to pieces, and he does nothing. There's no change. I remember looking at the team selection at Wolves with Chelsea. It was brave what he did. I thought it was foolhardy. We ended up losing 4-1, playing a high line with 9 men. Had Dyer been a couple of inches further back, we'd have been 2-2.
Yeah.
But then he'd have still gone out and tried to get the winner in the last few minutes, and I'm sure we'd have lost 3-2 or 4-2. It just doesn't change. He doesn't adapt. He doesn't think to himself, I'm here to win games. That's his job. He's not here to entertain. That's not his job.
But he's not winning games, is he?
He's not.
George Graham.
He's there to win games. And you've got to work out.
He came out and said we would have got an undeserved point. Like, who
cares?
If I worked for you two, right? If I worked for you two and you two had set me a target, right? And then you call me in your office on a Friday at the end of the month and you go, right, did you hit your target? Well, I was going to sign that deal that would have hit my target, but I didn't feel we would have deserved it. You would have been like, what? But even, it doesn't matter what this manager says, guys. It doesn't matter how he doesn't adapt. It doesn't matter that he doesn't try anything. It doesn't matter how dumb his comments are in interviews, after games, before games. Fans are still going, back this manager. So I'm going to ask you guys this question, and I'm going to show you a statement, right? So this is from Ali Gold today. That's come out and said, for Postecoglou's football to work, he needs more bodies to push into battle. And Football London understands that Spurs are looking at potential recruits across a number of positions, including a new centre-back, left-back and a midfielder. While the Australian also previously told Football London that a new attacker could be in order for his internal options in the attacking third remain slim. Now, here's the best bit. The quickest deals to be done are loan moves. And while the cheapest form of transfer are not exactly eye-catching nor ambitious for the fans, they could work on a number of levels for Tottenham. Postecoglou's squad could be strengthened quickly while not blocking the long-term path of talents like Gray, Bergvall, Moore, Yang. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it, but again, guys, you see the caveat. It's not we're going to go and strengthen with quality players that make us better. It's we're going to bring in bodies, right? Doesn't matter how good they are. We're just going to bring in bodies because the manager needs loads of players because his system basically kills people, and we don't want to worry. We don't want to block the path of kids who may or may not end up being first-team players. What sort of signal is that to the fans, guys?
I'll rally against that, because I thought the second part of the quotes that you just put up, Sam, I'm happy to see, because Postecoglou won't be here next season, and I'd rather if you're going to fill gaps, put loans in, providing they're the right loans. Do not go and spend money that a different manager is going to spend on better players.
Sure.
Because for me, I think Solanke with Iraola at the club would be a different player.
I agree.
But he's not the top level striker that I would want to replace. Listen, no one's going to replace Harry Kane. But even if you've got a striker who's one level down from Kane, and Solanke's unfortunately never going to be that. I think he's he's 2 or 3 levels down from Kane. So I wouldn't trust Ange with any money, to be honest. He may not even be here by February.
But he will. This is the worry. And by the way, that was going to be my next question to you guys, is about like the January transfer window opens. If I'm not wrong, it opens on Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Right. So the January transfer window opens on Wednesday. And again, this for me, Chris, feels like a massive smokescreen. Spurs are going to look at the loan market. Why? Well, 1, because it's cheap. Yeah. 2, because then what it does for me is it gives a lot of the fans that back Ange the option to go, oh, well, this isn't the long term. What we'll do is we'll get through to the summer and then we'll buy top players like Eze and Gallagher. Like if we go back to last year, we're going to buy all these top players. Isn't it just kicking the can down the road rather than saying, sack this crap manager and actually have someone in that wants to actually put a team together?
Well, that's the key, isn't it? It doesn't look as though they're going to do that. Having said that, if we lose to Tamworth, I think he's gone. I think that's the end.
We won't, though, will we? We won't. What we'll do is we'll rock up to Tamworth. We'll stick 4 or 5 past them, and then everyone will go, "Oh, Ange Ball." At Tamworth are in whatever league. What are they in, the Conference South or?
No. They're Conference League. I think they're about 16th in the conference.
Okay, conference. There we go. I mean, Chris. First and foremost, I'm going to ask you this. Part A of this question is, would you give Ange any money? B, what possible loan players are we going to get in that we all turn around as fans and go, that's what we need?
So in response to the question, no, I wouldn't give Ange any money because he's not demonstrated to me previously that any money we've given him, he's spent smartly, wisely, or brought any quality players into the club. And by that, I would never have spent 65 million on Solanke. I would never have spent 45 million pounds on Brennan Johnson. I wouldn't have signed off the return to the club of Timo Werner, and we're told they're all his signings. And I have question marks over Dragason's ability as a centre-back. Don't think he's as good as many say he is. So therefore, that I'm calling out. And then loans, I don't know, where's the Saudi Arabian season? Where does that run? Could we go and get a
Ronaldo?
Who was the Portuguese midfielder that played for Wolves? Neves. Could we get a Neves for 6 months? I don't know. Or Paratici was at the club on Saturday. Pictures of him in the boardroom. Could he pull some strings with Juventus or people? It's all hypothetical, isn't it? Where you go.
If you're Ruben Neves, right, and you're about to go on your holidays from the end of the Saudi season, right, and your agent says, "Tell you what, do you want to go and spend 3 months traveling around, sunning yourself, partying with, I don't know, you might be married, but partying with women or treating your family, or would you like to go and have your hamstring snapped playing in North London?" Do you know what I mean?
That's just me. That's just me saying I don't know what's going on in the Saudi Arabian leagues, but equally, it's like a lucky dip, isn't it? I don't know what players are out there. I don't know who's available. We wait and see, but we've been disappointed and let down many times in the past. I've got a feeling it'll be exactly the same on this occasion.
But I mean, Ian, I want to touch on that point. I tried to make a funny, which my wife always tells me I should never do because I'm not funny. But how many players are going to look at Spurs and go, hang on, sorry, I'm going to go on loan at Spurs and hang on, I've got a, you know what I mean? Like if I'm a fullback or a centre back and you come and offer me on loan, I'm going to go, oh, I've got to do all those recovery runs every single game.
I'll tell you what, Sam, I'll tell you what I think. If you're a player who is going to potentially be loaned out, then you're not playing regular football for your team.
No.
So
sure.
You would think to yourself, do you know what? I've got nothing to lose here because I'm not playing week in, week out.
Apart from your hamstring.
Apart from your hamstring, I may as well have a go, you know, and see how it goes. If the money's right, and if I'm going to get a chance to, you know, to put myself in the shop window, then yeah, for 3 or 4 months, let's do it.
Mm. By the way, is this true? I saw last night.
I've seen it on the phone. Yeah. It is true. Right. 6 months he was there.
See the difference between AC Milan and Spurs. Yeah. See the difference between the two clubs. Fonseca not working out at a big club like AC Milan. See you later. You're hooked. Tottenham, give him more time. Give him more time. And Millwall have also appointed Alex Neil this morning. So Millwall have appointed Alex Neil as the new manager. But guys, I mean, my concern is if you're going to bring in players on loan, he's got to play them. Like, there's no point bringing in these players on loan. Then suddenly all our players are fit again and we go back to the tried and tested Spurs 11 players and these loan players just sit there on the bench. That's my worry with him, guys. I don't think he knows how to integrate players into a team. No. From what I've seen, I don't think he knows how to do it in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as Ian said earlier in the conversation, you need to give Archie Gray 10 games in his proper position, central midfield, to see how he develops. But he doesn't bring players in. He doesn't integrate them. Another thing that he's found lacking at.
I mean, you look at the ball Gray put in for Johnson that led to Lancashire's goal in Istanbul.
Yeah.
None of our players play that sort of pass. None of them. I'm not saying Gray is better at this stage of his career. Is better than any of the midfield players that we've got. But at the end of the day, the midfield players we've got
are pretty poor.
They're not covering themselves in glory. So give them a chance. You've got nothing to lose. Seriously, our form is horrendous. We're playing awfully. You know, literally, I would put Dorrington next to Dragusin and stick Gray in midfield. Benson, of course, suspended on Saturday. Give him a go. Listen, we're up against it anyway. Newcastle are banging form. Let's see how he goes. You know, why not? Why might he not be successful? Look at the way Kobe Mainu came into a poor United team, and all of a sudden you saw a difference in United last season. I know it didn't last long, but he's got ability.
Yep.
And you can see he's got ability. So, you know, it's too much. He's got his pecking order. He doesn't switch from it. He doesn't switch from anything. He doesn't switch from his selections. He doesn't switch from like for like on substitutions. He doesn't switch when his training methods, training program. Everything is fixed. There's no movement from him in any area.
It's like, you know, if you go to a restaurant, right? You go to some restaurants and you say, "Oh, could I change this for this?" Oh, no, we don't do that, right? Other restaurants, you go, "Oh, could I don't know could I change my, like if I'm having a fry up, could I change my tomatoes for an extra hash brown or something?" Right? Ange can't do that. It's as though someone says, "Right, do something different," and his brain goes, what? As we said, the number of games where you could have just said, chuck Lancashire on for 15 minutes as a centre forward, get balls in the box. Who knows? A ball might bounce about, land at his feet, he scores a winner. And we all go, wow, look how good this is for his confidence and for Spurs results. But guys, I want to get some super chats. But quickly before I do, I just want to say, look, again, just to show that this is not an agenda against Ange because of nationality or where he's come from or whatever. You look at that. I don't know if you boys have seen this, but
no.
Look at, this is our lowest since 2008 under one day Ramos. This is our lowest points per calendar year for 17 years. Right? That is absolutely atrocious. Now, if he had just taken over, I could understand it, guys. But this is a guy that's been here 18 months. He's had 2 summers. He's had a January already, right? He's had nearly 350 whatever million he's had, 15, 16 new players. That number should be going like that. 51 points, Chris. That is in a year. That's going back to Christian Gross days. This is going back to Jerry Francis, Ozzy Ardele's days. This is crap.
If there weren't lesser teams in Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester, I would be very fearful, and I'm serious, that this is a guy capable of leading us into a relegation battle, because his points returns are dreadful. He's not winning games. We've got a team without any discipline or morale. We're not entertaining, and everything's going in the wrong direction.
Well, when I came on the show last night, I said 48 points. Could anybody tell me where 48 points stands in terms of how, for the last 25 years since ENIC took over, that it will be the third worst?
Yeah.
I think there was 2003 and 2007 or 2008 when we had less than 48 points. I think 43 points was the lowest. And that, that's possible. That is possible. The longer they stay with him, the longer he keeps getting, putting players through the mill and injuries mount up. I mean, how many points do you back us to get at Villa, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool? There's 4 of your 19 already. 0.
Yeah.
City at home. 0.
I'm looking at the fixtures, and I'm going to remove cup games, right? I'm going to remove cup games. Right. So we've got Newcastle. Let's go. Newcastle at home, Arsenal away, Everton away, Leicester home, Brentford away, Man U home, Ipswich away, City at home, Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Chelsea away. I can see us losing 6 or 7 of that 11 games.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I think the Leicester at home, I think we'll win. I think we will probably win against the likes of Ipswich. I think we'll beat Man United at home. But all of these away games I'm looking at, guys, I can't see where the points are coming from.
And the danger is we lose a few more, the confidence becomes even more shot, the anxiety and atmosphere in the stadium worsens. All of these things contribute to what's happening on the pitch. And you know what the next excuse will be in when we don't have any European football at all in the 2025-2026 season. Guess what? Our transfer budget for next summer's going to be reduced significantly. So the writing's on the wall. It's all about, you're a successful businessman in the rag trade. It's all about keeping track with the business, investing for the benefit of growing the business. And you've got to take a punt every so often. But we've got revenues coming in from elsewhere. We've got people who are not interested in taking that punt. They just want us to get by. Football's a hindrance to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think with ENIC, I think it's not a problem until they start losing money.
Yeah,
I think football's great. They're getting they got just under 61,300 in there yesterday again. I got in the ground early yesterday. I went down early because I thought there'd be a demonstration that was cancelled. The bars are full. 2:05 in the afternoon, the bars are full. An hour before kickoff. And until he starts losing money, until that 61,000 becomes 52, that becomes 45, which will mean that there'll be less money bought in the shop. There'll be less food and beverage bought. And until that happens, nothing will change.
Yeah. How can we continue to get away with doing the bare minimum? That's
right. Why would he change anything? When when you got a full house, they're bringing in £6 million a game. They're not going to change.
I agree. But I mean, look, if we look at this, sorry, I know you need to go in a second, Chris. Before you go, I mean, if we look at this, I've cut out the top 2. That's how far down we're going down this table these days, guys. I'm actually cutting out the top, not the bottom. If you actually look at this, though, Arsenal and Chelsea, who have got a game in hand, and I believe both play today, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
I might have made that up completely. Premier League, no, both.
No, Arsenal's New Year's Day.
Yeah, New Year's Day. So let's assume Chelsea are playing away at Ipswich today, right? Let's assume Chelsea win that. Just assumptions, and let's assume Arsenal win their game.
I think
they'll be on
Brentford, aren't they?
Right. I think so. So they'll go on to 38 and 39 points respectively, which means that the gap to top 4 will be 14 points at the halfway stage of the season. Now, we all know. Now, I know we can talk about coefficiency, going to 5th, but look, we can't take anything for granted. 14 points off the top four after the first half of the season, guys. Any other manager gets sacked. Because we know, like to your point there, guys, about losing money, Daniel Levy has always looked at this and gone, how many points away from Champions League football are we? Right, I've got to make a change. What's different this time? Why is it that he didn't want to back Conte? I didn't like Conte, by the way, but why did he not want to back Conte or Poch or Jose? Why are we backing this horse? Why?
Because he wants to make a point.
But what point? That we're getting worse?
That's right. But he wants to make a point that he's not this trigger-happy chairman, and he wants to give someone a chance. And he's invested in Ange. He's given him money. He's given him big money for 2 big transfers that Ange demanded. So he doesn't want to be seen to lose face by getting rid of Ange too soon. And the other thing also is that Europa League win the Europa League, you're in the Champions League. You're in pot 1 as well.
Sure, but can you see? Can we be honest for 1 second here, guys? Right, I keep hearing about Europa League winning it. I think we've been absolutely shit in the Europa League so far. We've beaten 3 very bad teams,
and had one of them been able to finish, we'd have been all sorts of trouble. As they had about 7 or 8 opportunities. We came up against a Roma side that did us. They targeted our fullbacks. They were the better side, and then we went away to a really piss poor Rangers side. And we struggled to get a point from that. There's no chance that we're going to win the Europa League. If we get through to the qualification rounds, the knockout stages, I'll be amazed.
Yeah, these teams over 2 legs, Chris, will if they don't figure us out for leg 1, they will certainly figure us out for leg 2. But the thing is here, if you look at we'll come back to this table in a second, but if you look at the Europa League, we've managed to beat Karabag, who are one of the worst teams in it. AZ Alkmaar and Ferencvaros. Right. We've then played 2 decent teams. I wouldn't say they're amazing. We beat 2 decent teams. Galatasaray, who played us off the park. Roma, who I thought were the better team. And by the way, Roma were an absolute mess at that stage. They just changed managers because they were so bad. And we played a Rangers team who were like, 103 points off of Celtic or whatever they are at the moment. And Rangers played us off the park and we luckily got a draw. People are telling me we're going to win this Europa League. I don't know what this is based on. We are not one of the best teams in the Europa League. We are a 11th place Premier League team that have lost 9 games in the league already. Why do people think we're going to win it?
And that's what I said to you in a private message the other day. It's ludicrous. And then there's suggestion, we remain in the cup. Yeah, a 2-legged affair against Liverpool, who in their last 2 trips to London have put 11 goals past 2 London clubs. It was boys against men in the last game at our place against them. So the hope that we could progress in either of those competitions is ludicrous, in my opinion.
I mean, Ian, I want to just quickly look at this, just because I know, Chris, you need to go, don't you?
I'll give it 5 minutes. I'll
okay,
25 minutes past.
Okay, cool. Right, because I was going to end. I'm going to end the show just for merit. I'm going to end the show at 5:30 anyway. By the way, for anyone, just so you know, when you look at this, Ian, I mean, there's so much to look at on this table. First and foremost, it's the fact that we're the only club in picture there that have lost 9 games. So when you actually here you go, let me do it. So when you actually go down to, you can see the bottom 4 have all lost more games than us. You would bloody expect that, Ian, at halfway in a Premier League season, that Tottenham. Right, you would expect that maybe 14 teams have lost more games than Tottenham Hotspur, not 4. Right, that is absolutely embarrassing. Then when you look at the form, right, the form table there, if you look, only Man United outside the bottom 3, only Man United have got 4 defeats like we have in the last 6. Right, even they've got 2 wins though. And then you have to go down to the bottom 2 for a worse record than Spurs, which is 5 defeats for both those clubs. That is absolutely diabolical, Ian.
It's who we are, mate.
It's who we are, mate. And people are still saying, give him time. Like, I don't get it. If Aston Villa are playing today, right? Aston Villa are playing Brighton, which either one of them wins today, Aston Villa would go 7 points clear of Spurs if they win. If Brighton win today, they'll go 5 points clear of Spurs. So the cut-off from Spurs to even get into the top half of the table after tonight could be 5 points. Could be 4 points. That's mental. We're now talking about you've got to beat Newcastle just to close the gap on the top half of the table.
That's gone. That's gone. But Sam, the thought of top 4, top 5 has gone. Funny, I must actually say. That's right. No,
I'm not talking top 4. I'm talking top half.
I know. Well, listen.
It's just mental.
4 points isn't much over half a season.
It is when you can't win a game of football for love nor money, mate.
Can I just add one thing? Totally unrelated to Spurs, but related to the table. Emery's getting away with murder. 10 points in the last 9 games, and he's gone completely under the radar because of A, he's doing well in the Champions League, and B, because Spurs and Man United are such disasters at the moment. But I can see Brighton going and winning because 10 points out of 27 is horrendous. That's how we finished the season last year.
Hang on, we're concentrating on Unai Emery. If Unai Emery beats Brighton tonight, Aston Villa go into 5th, and they're in the top 4 of the Champions League. I mean,
that shows you the inconsistency in the Premier League. If Villa can get 10 out of 27, win a game, and go 5th, that shows you there's very little amongst quite a few clubs, and this is such a wasted opportunity for Tottenham. It's just a massive missed opportunity because there's no, apart from the top clubs, there is no consistency, and top 4, 5 should have been well within their capabilities this season.
Yeah, but Ian, Aston Villa, if they win tonight, right?
Yeah.
Have won 4 of their last 6 games. When we're talking about getting away with murder, will have won 4 of their last 6 games. The only clubs that can say they've won 4 of their, this is hypothetical, of course. The only clubs that can say they've won 4 of their last 6 are Liverpool, Forest, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So if Aston Villa win tonight, they're actually in very good form, right? And if I'm not wrong, hang on, I might be wrong here. I'm looking at the Champions League table. Aston Villa are 5th in the Champions League table. Only Barcelona and Liverpool have more points.
So that's what's kept the pressure off Emery, because his league form the last 2 months, you go through their results, have not been good.
But they've won 3 of their last 6. But
we were slaughtering Ange because we were up and down playing snakes and ladders a few weeks ago, weren't we? Win one, lose one, and we were slaughtering him.
Sure, but the difference is, but Ian, they've had a little dip for the first time in Unai Emery's tenure at Aston Villa, and that little dip could still see them 5th in the Premier League, right? And 5th in the Champions League table of 34 teams. If that's their little dip and Emery's getting away with it, bloody hell, what are we doing?
Well, I see the top. I see City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle all finishing above Villa definitely this season. Definitely.
But maybe so, Ian. But at the end of the day, when you look at Aston Villa, I look at a team that they are where they should be. Aston Villa, you got to remember, right? When we go into the Europa League games in midweek, and we go, Mikey Moore can start today, or Gray can start today, and this player starts today. Aston Villa are putting out their best 11 midweek every week because they're playing Champions League football, are still well above us in the league table, and are still in the hunt to finish in Champions League football again. How are we possibly looking at Villa and saying he's getting away with it?
Well, I was looking at form tables yesterday, and someone said, look at Villa. And I scanned down from when we beat them 4-1, and they got 10 points from 9 games.
Okay, so there you go. Well, let me show you. Then. There's the form table. Aston Villa are 7th in the form table.
Is that 6 games? Is that the last 6 games?
That's the last 5. Yeah, over the last 10, not as great, but doesn't that show that they've sorted it out, that they're going up the table in the form table?
It shows me what a missed opportunity it is for Spurs, because there are so few teams outside of the top four that are consistent. City have dropped off badly. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Forest are doing great this season.
I watched Forest last night, and fair kudos to Nuno, because he's got them really playing some good stuff. The goal by Chris Wood yesterday, wow.
And Liverpool going to run away with it this year, aren't they? They're just on a different level.
I want to ask you a question, Ian, quickly. Sorry, before we end, I want to ask you a question though. What should Villa be like? Sorry, I don't get this. What should Villa be doing? Villa shouldn't be anywhere near, for me, the top 4 or 5 clubs in this country. What should they be doing?
If you finish top 4, one season, then you should be building on that league-wise, and you should maybe be top 3.
Okay, so
and then nowhere near top 3. They're nowhere near Chelsea and Arsenal.
Hang on, if they win tonight, they're 4 points off them.
But which is 8 points by the end of the season, and to me, Villa should be up with Arsenal and Chelsea. If you're a Spurs fan,
why? Why should Villa be up with Arsenal and Chelsea?
Because if you want your team to progress year on year, and you finish 4th, then you think to yourself, okay, if we're going to improve, let's get to 3rd next season.
Yeah, but Lubo, this is their first year in Champions League football that they're balancing. They've maintained where they are in the league. Let's be honest, right? Last year, Chelsea not being up there skewed things, right? Nottingham Forest, I do think, will fall away at some point. But I can't believe that we're having a pop at Unai Emery when he's had just a few bad games as manager in 2 years, whatever he's been there for. And we're trying to, for me, Ian, I'm going to call it out. You know I will. For me, this just screams of somebody that's so gutted and embarrassed by their own club that we're looking at faults of others to try and make ourselves feel better. I'm sorry. I think he's done an absolutely superb job. I think he is doing a superb job. Sorry.
Let's see where they finish.
We'll see where they finish. But do you really think they should be top 4 when you look at Chelsea's squad, Arsenal's, Man City's, Liverpool's? Should they be top 4?
Should they be top 4? I don't
think they should be.
Don't think they had a particularly good summer window, did they? Transfer-wise.
I thought they made some really astute signings. Do you not? Go on, Chris. I know you want to say something. Go on, mate.
No. I was just guessing I'm going to have to wrap up soon, as the whole Claridge debate's losing me a little bit.
No, look. Look. It's just an opinion. I'm sure a lot of people probably disagree with me. We're way down. We're nowhere near Villa at the moment. So
that's what I think we need to worry about us, not Unai Emery.
I was just making a point. A couple of people mentioned Villa to me yesterday, and just have you seen their results recently? You know, they're another team that in the league have dropped off quite a bit after making a bright start. And I sort of had a look at, scanned all the results, and just saw 10 points from 9 games. I mean, that's what Stellini and Mason finished with.
Yeah, but 3.
That's what I finished with last year.
Anyway, so if they win tonight and they've got 4 wins from 6, we're going to say that's bad form. I don't know what we're doing here in football. Look, I am going to wrap up before we do. Vineet, thank you. I said Ange is expert world play, fooled everyone at Spurs into parting with 350 million after they've been dealing with Latin coaches for the past 10 years. Big up, Vineet. Thank you very much for that. Bella, thank you very much for your support as always. Said Savva, can you ask Ian who the person was that made comments on the training schedule?
It was somebody who is a sports therapist. Where they got their information from, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But they were talking from, they are a sports therapist. They pass their exams. Whatever they've heard, and it's pretty obvious, isn't it, that Ange is running them into the ground.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You don't really need to be a genius to know that.
Absolutely. And last but not least, big up East London Guna, who just put in a super sticker. Look, at the end of the day, things can only get better. I mean, the fact that we're 11th means we can still get worse. Where can we, just the last thing, we're ending the show in 60 seconds. Where can we end tonight, by the way? So is anyone below us playing? So Man United are playing, which means that if they win, I don't think they will, but if Man United win tonight, Tottenham will end the evening in 12th and Brentford would still have a game in hand. So guys, it's been a great December for Spurs. It's been wonderful. Chris, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Everyone always loves when you come on. So thank you for joining us this morning.
No problem at all. Nice speaking, chaps, and Happy New Year to everybody.
And to you, Chris.
Happy New Year to you as well. Lubo, thank you very much as always. We never agree, but we always have a good chat, don't we? So it's all good fun. Emery in. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. Listen, take care. I'm going to be back tonight, people, at 7:45 on Big Up. I'm going to be loosely watching the Man United Newcastle game and doing a live score show for Ipswich, Chelsea and Villa Brighton. I'll put the link in my chat. Please come and join me over there. 7:45 tonight. There is no debate Savva today. I'm going out for dinner. So please, I really wish there was today, but there isn't. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs, and Levy out.